Good morning. Welcome to the DFS YouTube channel. I am Razzle11. You can find me at Twitter at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at some pitching for today, Tuesday the 16th. Looks like we have a 12-game main slate to deal with. Some decent pitching options. Probably better than decent, but uh, we do have some expensive pitching options, should say. But let's take a look here. First look over at the weather. Doesn't really look like we have anything to worry about. Some games with some wind blowing out, but nothing too extreme. Most of them happen to be those California teams where weather generally doesn't affect the games all that much as far as wind. One intriguing spot might be at Fedway with it blowing out to right again. But let's dig in. Right at the top, we have Clayton Kershaw. Excuse me. Definitely going to be in play for me. Uh, Twins are striking out quite a bit this year. Kershaw has allowed one run on a solo home run in three starts at home so far. Not going to be expecting, 34 and a half DK points, but great spot for him. Obviously, it's an annoying price tag, to be honest, but he's definitely in a much better spot than Gausman is. Gausman shut down this Yankee squad with 11 strikeouts the first time he faced them. He has massive upside. He also has these blow up games randomly. Um, I think we have to use Gausman in this spot, to be honest. Just pure upside calls for it. Verlander's going to make my fade list. He's looked decent, had a strong start, but it was against Cincinnati. I'm not really interested in taking pitchers against Tampa Bay right now. Pretty simple. I don't think it's too big of a limb to walk out on to say that I'm fading Verlander. Luis Castillo probably ends up in my player pool today, but he has not been sharp the last handful. He's been decent. He did have 9 Ks in 5 innings against Texas, but uh, he's not some lock and load type play at 5 figures on DK. So right now I'm leaning towards leaving him out of my player pool. Obviously, my pool will be finalized much later in the day for DFS Army members. A couple guys that I will be using here: Christian Javier and Justin Steele. Javier with big K upside. We just picked on the Cubs with right-handed pitching of the Twins over the weekend, so we're gonna go right back to it with Javier. They got to Framber last night. Framber basically made one mistake against Morel, and he hit a 3-run bomb. But he did strike out 8 in 4 innings, so they are striking out plenty right now. So I am going to look to go to Javier in this spot. He is a pretty decent favorite, sitting at -170 right now. The game has a total of 7.5. And we know I'm going with Justin Steele. He's, in my write-ups every time he's on the mound. He's had a couple of not so strong starts in 2 out of his last 3. His K numbers have come down a little bit, but he's still quality starts. I like him. The Astros team just isn't as dangerous as they have been previously. And for whatever reason, they're right-handed bats. A majority of them, like Bregman, etc., have actually struggled against left-handed pitching, even though you would think that they should just absolutely dominate left-handed pitchers. Um, I think Wheeler's definitely in play, pitching in San Francisco. He's obviously made my fade list quite a bit this year because I just don't think that he's the same pitcher as he was last year, to put it easily. But he's been strong in 3 out of his last 4. Pitching in a great spot. He's definitely going to be in play for me. And Bieber, definitely in play as well. gladly pick on the White Sox as long as he finds a way to avoid Luis Robert, who's just on fire right now. I think he has a solid game. I'm not sure that we should be chasing 9 strikeouts again. Prior to that, he's been pretty mediocre in the strikeout category. So that is one worry with me. Paying 9K for him and maybe not having the same strikeout ability or upside as some of these other guys. He probably has more than Justin Steele right now, so maybe that's a reason why we should use him, maybe even over Steele. Um, but as you can see, like so far, we just have a bunch of guys at the top that can win us the slate tonight, which is kind of annoying because we kind of have to spread out amongst expensive guys. But unfortunately, we don't get to pick and choose when the top arms show up on slates. So as we go down, I mean, Cobb is certainly an option, speaking in that ballpark. I just don't know if he's the upside kind of guy that I want. Strikeouts haven't really been there. He's probably going to be steady, but with Harper back for that Philly team, I do kind of think that they go on a bit of an offensive run at some point. So I may end up having to pass on Cobb as the day goes on. No interest in Bailey Ober against the Dodgers. Probably no interest in Domingo Germán against Toronto. They did beat him up earlier. I'm not really interested in paying 8,200 to get 13 to 16 fantasy points. That one start against the Twins looks like an extreme outlier at this point. He did have 27 against Cleveland, but for the most part, I just don't have any desire to pay 8,200 for 13 to 16 fantasy points. A couple guys that I'm probably gonna skip over. Lugo's in play, but I don't really feel all that excited to play him. Kansas City is weak enough that I think Lugo certainly is going to make a player pool, but he's just not somebody I'm hurrying to jam into my lineups. One guy down here, Jordan Montgomery. I think I'm going to go back to him. Coming off a rough start against the Cubs, had been pitching pretty well prior to that. And if you remember, we were all about him the first time he faced Milwaukee. Milwaukee is just so much weaker against left-handed pitching right now that I think Montgomery becomes a really solid option for us at 7,400. As we go down, I think people will talk about Brady Singer as a kind of a dart throw. He does have some strong starts this year, but then also he's just been absolutely lit up. He does get San Diego at a time where they are struggling overall, outside of Juan Soto. So I can see it, in this ballpark, but I just may not go there. I'd rather pair some of the top guys just because there's so many guys up top that can get us there tonight. I'm not sure I want to sacrifice off of one of them to get, a solid game from Brady Singer, which last time out was 15 fantasy points. I'm not one to generally just be like, all right, I'm only paying 6,100, so I can live with 12 to 15 fantasy points out of my SP2. I still want raw points out of everybody, especially in baseball. This isn't like the NBA where we're trying to hit a value return. So give me the access to a high raw point ceiling. And I just think there's so many guys at the top tonight that we end up pairing those. Obviously, more breakdown coming later once I start building, just because we still have to be able to afford our stacks. So there's going to be trade-offs here and there, but this is a first look pitching video with who I plan to have in my pool. So it's tough to also dig into stacks at this point. Williamson's going to make his major league debut. I'm not really sure that I can go there. Pitching in Coors does have some upside in his arm, but probably not going to happen. Chirinos just not striking anybody out. The Mets offense has struggled, so I wanted to be able to consider pitching against them, but there's just no strikeouts right now. I haven't dug into any of his numbers or anything, but I do know that he throws hard, a ton of movement. It just can't strike anybody out as a long reliever slash starter. So there we have it. There's my look at the pitching options for today. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, get notifications anytime we drop a video here at DFS Army. Hit the comments below with whether you're going to pay up at both pitching spots today on DK, or if you're going to try to sneak in somebody cheaper to help out with your stacks. Um, I will put links in the description below. If you want to join us at DFS Army, you can use promo code RAZ, it's RAZ, for 10% off your monthly membership. And as always, best of luck, everybody.